The Ukrainian armed forces are eliminating the Kremlin's military elite without delay. Dozens of FSB Special Operations Forces and GRU officers have been neutralized. Their equipment and weapons are rotting in the black soil. Special forces from the Putin'S and Kubinka units have fallen at the front. Moscow is silent while propagandists are in a frenzy. This is a catastrophe for Putin's special forces. A pinpoint strike that changes the rules of the game.
More than 3,000 kilometers. That is the current length of the front line between Ukraine and Russia. Of that, almost 1,000 kilometers are active combat zones. Hundreds of kilometers where Ukrainian defenders break the backbone of an army that was once called the second strongest in the world every day. And every meter of this line is a story of courage, loss, and unbreakable will. At this front, not only columns of equipment and infantry are destroyed, but also Russia's military elite. During the full-scale invasion, Ukrainian fighters have eliminated dozens of special forces operatives from elite units. Putin'S and Kubinka, those whom even in Russia are called the elite of the elite.
Losses of such fighters are especially painful for Russia. Each of them is not an ordinary soldier, but a specialist who has undergone years of training. Training a single officer like this takes years and requires significant resources. You mentioned I Want to Live. Recently,
a documentary about the elimination of a sabotage and reconnaissance group from the Putin'S Special Purpose Center, which was operating in the Chernihiv region, was released to the public. This operation became one of the most successful since the start of the full-scale war. Ukrainian scouts from the 54th Separate Reconnaissance Battalion, together with border guards from the 105th Prince Volodymyr the Great Detachment, eliminated 6 enemy officers. The bodies of those killed, as well as weapons and equipment, were captured.
Everything they use works. They enter Ukrainian territory with their GoPro cameras turned on, and they record all their actions. If you can even call it work. Murder, sabotage, it's essentially terrorism. And they are the first to show this to their perhaps commanders or superiors. To report back. That's the first reason. And secondly, they post all of this online to intimidate people. There are videos titled, "How I Spent This Summer." And in these videos, they're basically montages of the killing of Ukrainians, Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian civilians.
In the center of Sinisha Kubinka are the key units of the Russian Special Operations Forces, reporting directly to the General Staff. Only the best of the best are selected to go there. Those who are supposed to carry out the most complex, covert, and dangerous missions. They are trained using Western methods and deployed in operations outside the country from Ukraine to Africa. But in Ukraine, even such an elite force proved powerless. Those whom Moscow calls invisible fighters become visible on Ukrainian fields.
Lie down. Stand up. Come here. I've got it. Holding. Holding. Get out. Come on, 3-4.
According to the I Want to Live project, during the war, Ukraine has eliminated at least 58 operatives from the Russian Special Operations Forces of the GRU and FSB. For the enemy's army, these are not just losses. This is a blow to the core personnel, to those who were supposed to conduct reconnaissance, coordinate operations, and prepare new sabotage missions. And while Russian propaganda keeps talking about precision weapons and the professionalism of its army, the reality is completely different. Across more than 3,000 kilometers of front line, Ukraine is not only holding the defense, but is also systematically eliminating those whom the Kremlin considers untouchable. And no matter how long Russia continues this aggression, the defense forces will keep giving the same answer. An invader on Ukrainian soil will not remain alive.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
Shock. Dictator Lukashenko is squirming like a snake on a frying pan. The economy is collapsing. Under sanctions, Putin keeps him in fear. And Lukashenko himself is trying to please everyone at once. From threats of nuclear weapons to a willingness to negotiate with Kyiv. The bipolar game of the Belarusian Führer is frightening the whole world. See the details right now.
There has been some positive momentum in the trend of resuming the Belarusian-American dialogue. The time has come to say something about this.
Lukashenko is desperately trying to sit on 2 chairs at once.
Vladimir Alexandrovich needs to calm down. There's food on the table. It's a good offer.
Long considered one of Putin's most loyal allies, he has suddenly begun to show openness to contact with the US.
Yes, interesting cufflinks. With an image of the White House, but I'll try not to be in your debt.
Journalists write that he is looking for a way out of the isolation into which Putin has drawn him. That's why he has intensified contacts with the European Union. Washington, despite the European Union, began engaging with Belarus, sending several delegations to Minsk this year.
And everything should be fair, just like we once agreed with the Americans.
Minsk took advantage of the window of opportunity that had opened. Lukashenko eagerly tried to regain at least some trust from the Americans. The loyal comrade began to praise Trump.
Trump deserved that Nobel Prize. It should have been given to him. Trump did a lot for peace.
In September, he had a phone conversation with Donald Trump and even called him a highly respected leader. Realizing that the ice has started to break, the Belarusian dictator hopes to achieve at least a partial lifting of Western sanctions.
In agreement with the president of Iran, who says that sanctions are a time of opportunity, for us it is very important not to waste this time.
Lukashenko understands that Iran and Africa are not real allies and Putin's money is running out. Lukashenko has signaled that he is also ready to talk with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Our position is that it is necessary to meet and even in this most difficult situation to find consensus. This work is also underway. Of course, much here depends on the Ukrainian side. Our president is doing everything possible to stabilize the situation in the region.
In recent weeks, Belarusian diplomats have reportedly been actively holding a series of meetings with European representatives. In Brussels, this gesture was seen as an attempt by Lukashenko to climb out of the sanctions pit in order to return to international trade.
Let's try to work out a global deal, as Mr. Trump likes to do. A big deal. That's what he calls it.
Journalists report that it is Yuri Ambrazevich, appointed as Belarus's ambassador to the Vatican, who is in fact coordinating Minsk's contacts with Western Europe. He conveyed a message to European diplomats that Belarus is seeking to break out of political isolation and is allegedly ready to play the role of mediator between Russia and Ukraine.
That is why, for us, a sovereign and independent Ukraine is a major fundamental issue. It should be peaceful, not create any problems or threats for anyone, and develop as an independent state. We support this, we are for peace, and in this regard, we are ready to work. As Russia's closest ally, Belarus has, as I have already mentioned, a certain role to play in resolving the Ukrainian crisis and in building the architecture of regional security. The Americans have noticed us in this process.
Europe is reacting cautiously to the convulsions of Belarus's Lukashenko, knowing that the mustachioed one likes to play a double game.
Action must be taken urgently, because regardless of everything, Russia is advancing on the front. I say this responsibly, as I observe it practically every day. And this could lead to the disappearance of Ukraine as a state.
European diplomats admit that Minsk is trying to demonstrate independence from Moscow. But most believe that Lukashenko does not have real independence. Not long ago, the Belarusian authorities once again arrested several opposition members and at the same time conducted joint military exercises with Russia.
We are not trying to conquer anyone because we know perfectly well that we cannot conquer anyone. There are strong states around us, that's just a fact. But we are always ready to inflict unacceptable damage if anyone sets foot on our land.
Or for show, they supposedly invited American soldiers to the Zapad 2025 exercises.
Thank you very much for your time.
By telling the US about his peaceful intentions, Lukashenko is playing along with Putin. For example, by proposing to build a nuclear power plant in eastern Belarus to supply electricity to the Ukrainian territories temporarily occupied by the Kremlin.
If a decision is made, we will immediately start building a new power unit or a new plant if there is such a need in Western Russia and in the liberated regions. The government will calculate this.
The issue of financing does not even arise.
Lukashenko, like a seasoned card sharp, flirts with the West without letting go of the Kremlin's feeding hand.
You said that the Americans asked you to pass a message to Moscow. Is there anything like that this time?
Tomorrow, I will make sure to forward all of the messages that I have received to him.
Such maneuvers by Minsk, attempting to carefully balance and please both sides in this ongoing situation, typically conclude with one of the chairs breaking anyway. Breaking news! Ukraine is receiving hundreds of air defense missiles earlier than expected. Foggy Albion is strengthening the front, preparing new arms deliveries to fight Putin's army. Moscow is in shock, and soon the Ukrainian sky will become untouchable. The United Kingdom is strengthening Ukraine's airspace. Hundreds of air defense missiles were delivered 5 months ahead of schedule. This was reported on the British government website during the visit to Kyiv by the Minister for Defense Procurement and Industry, Luke Pollard.
Developing industrial partnerships is important so that we can learn from their experience together. To build the industrial base necessary to defend the United Kingdom, deter our adversaries, and support Ukraine.
We are talking about the Light Multi-Role Missiles, LMM, which are produced as part of the British military support program for Ukraine. This is a high-precision missile measuring 1.3 meters in length, weighing only 13 kilograms, and with a range of up to 8 kilometers. It is equipped with a laser infrared guidance system, and its 3-kilometer range fragmentation warhead with a proximity fuse makes it effective against both aerial and ground targets. The missiles can be launched from various platforms. Ground-based launchers such as Manpads, Stormer SAM, HVM, or Rapid Ranger, as well as from helicopters and ships.
As illegal Russian aggression continues to intensify, European countries must unite and strengthen their support. Ongoing industrial cooperation, both with our dedicated government colleagues and our valued international allies, remains the only way to ensure a safe and prosperous future for the people of Ukraine. Shatabifu.
British support is not limited to supplies. At the same time, a new major phase of industrial cooperation has been announced. A package worth £1.6 billion. This is approximately $2 billion for the integration of LMM missiles into the Ukrainian air defense system and the expansion of joint production capacities. Poland. This total volume of UK military aid in 2025 will reach £4.5 billion or $5.6 billion. An all-time record figure for London. And now one more key element of cooperation. The UK and Ukraine are launching joint production of interceptor drones. The project could start as soon as the coming months. We're talking about a production line capable of turning out around 2,000 interceptors per month. Such production rates are exactly what's needed to counter massive Shahed swarms and other large-scale combat UAV attacks. The first production lines will be set up in the UK, but the project structure is designed to be flexible so it can quickly respond to frontline needs and move capacity closer to Ukraine if necessary. The British side promises to contribute development, research expertise, and modern manufacturing technologies that Ukrainian factories currently lack. This is not just a supply contract, it's an attempt to create sovereign capabilities for Ukraine. Equipment, technical support, training, joint research and development, supply chains. In parallel with the UK, the Netherlands also discussed a memorandum on joint drone production. European partners are building industrial cooperation that is meant to function not as a one-time delivery but as a series of production lines, services and training.
That is when it comes to the quality of drones. A long time ago, we caught up with the so-called Russian drones, which are actually Iranian Chinese Shaheds. The question was whether we could scale up production in the same way it was done for Russia, Iran and China. It turned out we could. So when it comes to diving drones, we are now close to parity, not only in terms of the quality of the machines, but also in terms of their quantity, which is very important in this case. After all, this is not the kind of war that can be won with pinpoint strikes. Here, the sheer number of strikes is what really matters. When we're talking about numbers like a 20% reduction in Russia's entire oil refining industry, that's when you need this kind of scale. So we finally reached that scale.
Other allies of Ukraine are also preparing new support measures. The United States plans to continue supplying advanced weaponry, including air defense systems, artillery and cruise missiles, as well as strengthening the defense of Ukraine's infrastructure. According to preliminary plans, the volume of military aid in 2025 to 2026 could amount to several $billion. Among the European countries, Germany and France are preparing to supply armored vehicles and ammunition, as well as expanding the training of Ukrainian military personnel at their training centers. Poland and the Baltic states are considering the possibility of providing additional types of weapons and equipment, as well as conducting joint exercises to enhance the combat readiness of Ukrainian troops. In addition, the Allies are developing plans for the long-term integration of new air defense systems and artillery complexes so that Ukraine can build a resilient defense network and prepare for possible escalation from the Russian Federation. As part of humanitarian support, there are plans to expand programs for infrastructure restoration, medical assistance, and the training of specialists to work in crisis conditions. That's all for now. For more breaking news from the front, tune in to our next episode.